Yo, what is up, legends? Welcome back to another video on the channel. We're going to jump straight into my new track with Justin Prime, The Light. This is a 142 BPM. I don't know if anyone's done this before, but big room. It's really high tempo, high energy, really cool sound design. I'm really impressed with how it turned out. It's a great combination of our styles. As you can see, I took on the drop part of the project and Justin did the break and stuff like that. His melodies are really good, so we kind of used our main strengths and made a really big track. Out now on his label Next Chapter. Producers, Patreon subscribers, this sample pack will be available to you in probably like 4 or 5 days. So if you like this track and you want to get the sounds from this, you know what to do. Hit the link in the description and join the best team on Patreon, the best EDM team on Patreon. I was a little bit lazy recently. Last week I was in the Netherlands, so I was really busy. I didn't record anything before that. I didn't want to just put something out for the sake of it. I want to give you good content and like really helpful stuff. And I think this video is really going to help you out, because this is a way to make creative big room, I think. The sound design is where most labels kind of turn you down. Yeah, we've heard this lead before. It's generic. It sounds like 2015. With a drop lead like this, you take away that chance. You know, you don't give them the excuse to say, oh, this is basic sound design, because this is a really cool lead sound. So let's jump straight into it. If you haven't already heard it, this is what the drop sounds like. Let me just turn this down a little bit. I turned it down 1%, but you know, I just want to make sure it's not too loud. But this is the drop. That part is my absolute favorite. This is such an old school sound. You know, I've done a few tracks like that as well, probably like 6-7 years ago. So it was really good to combine both of our styles and also have this drop which felt all one drop but had 3 different switch ups, because that's quite important to keep things interesting nowadays in EDM. The kick, I really love this kick. I actually found a punchy kick. What I did was I remade a W&W track for YouTube. Go and search that, the W&W and Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike track. And this is the kick that was closest to what they used. So I thought, you know what, I need a punchy kick. I'm going to use this one for the Justin Prime collab. And this is one heavy ass kick. It's got a really nice top. All I've done with it is just boost this kind of subby punchy region of the kick. I felt it was a little bit flat, so I just give it a small little boost there. That's the main punchy part. As you can see, it done nothing to the tops, the highs. It was already really punchy. We have the sub bass, which I believe could be, oh, it could be either of those. I think it's this one. So all this is a Kashmir kick. As you can hear, nothing too special there. But what I have done is added an S1 imager. I wanted it to be narrow. I wanted this because this carries the sub only. I'm gonna stack this kick up with different layers. This layer specifically is the sub, so I'm just gonna make it completely mono. We wanted it to be as tight as possible. We have an EQ which I'm rolling off the highs. Don't know why I'm using the parametric EQ. Please don't ask me. I have no idea. We've got the Pro Q3, which has just taken out frequencies I just didn't need, and also a little boost on the frequencies I felt like did need. Combined with the kick, sounds pretty tight as a low end. Obviously we need some sidechain as well, and I really like to use this nice and tight one. If I'm doing an offbeat bass, I will go for the sub bass chain. But as you can hear, this kick drum, the punchy kick, isn't long enough to allow for a reverse bass, because you can feel kind of a gap there. It's like, but you know, there's no power because the kick is quite a short one. So I knew that I had to do more of a nice and tight sidechain. We also added a little bit of a sprinkle on top of the kick, which is a couple of top kicks. One is my favorite one, which is Kashmir Top Kick 2. And also we have, please let me select it, FL Studio, Top Click, which is more hardstyle one. Altogether, it sounded really good. Super clean, super punchy. However, I'm never going to make a track with just a simple bass line like that, unless it's, you know, techno or something like that. But in a big room, I need to make this more fresh. So I added some crispy layers to it. Very old school sounding. We also have this sound, which is from my track with Reese Lowe, but this is a really deep sub. So I have the sub, a really deep sub, and this crunchy mid layer on top, and it just made one complete fresh kick. The processing for this was quite detailed. See if I can turn this off. If I can turn all the processing off, that's what you get. However, because I've made my own sub bass, because I wanted to construct it myself and make it more powerful, I had to get rid of all the sub frequencies, but boost those really crispy sounds within the sound. Crispy frequencies within the sound. As you can see, some boosts in the mids. I mean, what I should be doing is more of those nipple EQs. But what I've done it there. Fair play to myself. Not a super tight sidechain, as I said. This might sound good as an offbeat, actually. Nah, it does sound better like this. So I went for a free punch. It's not too punchy, not too pumpy. It just allows it to really stand out there. And with the S1 Imager, what I've done is made it a little bit wider. So I've got the leads quite wide, this little bit wide, and then the sub bass really narrow, kick narrow, everything narrow. So at that point, everything just has its own space. So in terms of the kick, that is literally it. One of the best kicks ever that I've ever made. It just punches really well. Sounds horrible in this section because FL Studio does not pitch bend, not pitch bend, but I don't know what the word is for it, but when you want to change the key of a sample, when you're going this high up, it ruins the sound, unfortunately. This is something that Ableton doesn't do. So if you're on Ableton, well done, you've won it live. Us on FL Studio need to struggle. But I didn't mask that with some chords. I was going to do it anyway, but it really did help to mask the ugliness of the sample. Also some crashes as well. See how the crash being clean, it kind of gets rid of the nastiness of the kick drum sound. So it was a great way to eradicate the horribleness. Unfortunately, you know, one day FL Studio will get it right. I'm still waiting for that day, but you know, they'll get it right eventually. Some rides panned left to right on top of that ride, as you heard before. Then when you bring in the chords as well, it's completely masked. You can't really hear that. It's such a low quality sound. So if you're struggling with a sound like that and you're using FL Studio, try with some chords. So we've got the main bases here. We've got the kicks. What else do we need? We need sick ass drop leads. So we're going to go to the first drop lead, which is, I believe, this one. Which is from an old sample pack from my boys Blur. Back in the days, they were making some of the best sounds for EDM. This is a sound from way back in the days. Now, see how far I'm going back to find my sounds. I am not going on Splice and just finding the most popular sound, right? That's not what I'm doing because I want my music to stand out. Never in a million years would anyone find this specific sound. It's not hard to get, but not many people would know to look like this way. So if you have old sample packs and you're an old guy like me, in your late 20s, go back to the old sounds because there's some gems in there, Vengeance stuff and everything like that. So by itself, the sound was pretty solid. But I distorted the SHIT out of it. We've got the Camel Crusher, as always. Don't need to go into this at this point. You know this is my process. Blood Overdrive is very important. Gives a lot of power. Isotope Trash, again, a distortion. What I've used is the clip control, brought this band down a little bit, and it just gave it a nice clean boost. We've got the S1 Imager making it wide, and then we have a sidechain. But what I have done is linked it all the way down here into the lead bus, where I have all of this stuff, which do this. So as you can see, I have a reverb very, very big on the time design. I wanted this to be super wet, super spacey, and I was going to automate it as well, which you will see in a sec. We've got the peak controller, which is just dipping it out when the note hits. See how it's 50% when the note plays. When the note doesn't play, we go 100%. So it's really making that movement within the reverb. So it's like it's moving a lot here, and that's the key. We've got a trash after the reverb just to F the sound up a little bit more. Transient master because it is a pluck sound. With a pluck sound, it's very heavy on the transient, and you wanted it to be really clean and like pluck through. We've got a fruity filter, which is just used for build-ups and stuff like that. EQ, I always add these EQs at the end. We've got the Oxford inflator actually, which is a newer thing for me to do to my leads. This just makes the sound so much bigger. We also have a SSL compressor on there at the end, trying to keep everything nice and tight. And then I do believe I have 2 sidechains by mistake, but it worked. It worked, so why not? You can see the automations here with the reverb I was talking about. As you can see, what I've done is really increase the wet within the reverb. So we look at what I automated, and I automate this. You can see how it's moving. I really automated and exaggerated it because I have these gaps, right? Dun, 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 dun. We've got this gap here, and you can see I've just perfectly, with precision, automated into this gap to fill up that gap and create movement. So it's like dun, dun, sh, dun, dun, sh, and it just sounds really, really cool. Finally, we have, well, not finally, this is step 2. We have this lead. Some would say this was a pretty ugly sound. However, it provides texture. The pluck sound does not provide texture. It's a sample. It's very headbutt. It's very sample sounding, right? It does not sound like it's from a VST. It does not sound smooth. So I wanted to add some texture to the sound. It provides grittiness and it provides crunch, and that's exactly what I needed it to do. This is the final step of the lead. This vocal sound. This was actually Justin's idea. He said we need a sound which has movement throughout. So I thought, well, I can't really automate anything in the pluck. I can't automate the cutoff or anything like that, any macros, whatever. So I added a sound which I could control. Shout out Husman Heroic. But this one you can automate a lot, and you will see with the automations here, it kind of sounds like a vocal. When you listen to the track, you really do hear that, and it adds to the sound design, right? It's a really good sound designed lead. Altogether, it sounds really, really good. Let's add the kick in as well to give you the idea of what I had at this point in the project. That's already great, right? I don't want to brag, but that sounds pretty cool. However, we wanted to, because this is bigger and because I've been doing it for so long, I have the creativity in my brain to like think, yeah, let's push it a little bit further. When you do something for so long, you become really good at it and you become really comfortable in it. So with this, because it was a big room layout, I knew like, oh, I'm going to switch up the lead here. And I wanted it to do a lead which sounds like Justin. Now this, again, is from a Blur sample pack, old sound. I don't know if he used this for his signature sound back in the days, probably not. But this reminded me of Thunder, what's it called? His track with Earthquake. You know Earthquake with Showtek? This was like a massive release for him. And I knew this sound was similar, so I thought, why not add this in as well? It's cool. It's Olly James versus Justin Prime sound. It's a really nice touch, and it sounds really nice within the mix as well. We decided to keep that throughout the whole drop. We've split the drop in two, my side, his side kind of thing. And then we went for a different bass line in this part, which is the old kind of Blaster Jack sound and Dirty Dutch kick. I used to rinse this sound a lot, but it sounds really nice with the drums. Kind of Hardwell sounding as well, and altogether that just sounded just so nice because you don't expect it. Oh. But because the melody is dun 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 dun, it fits perfectly with the this kind of drum. So it was a match made in heaven. Other things are, of course, always important. We've got a Reese fill. Amazing sound, really nice. Works really well in the fill there. We've got the Enter the Rave screech. Got a big crash there. Got the claps with a little reverse clap because I'm fancy like that. Few claps laid up there. Fusion laid with a Geordie Daz wide clap. So we've got like quite a clean tight one and a clean wide one. Just provides a lot more power with the claps. And in big room, you need those claps to really slam. Another Enter the Rave sound. Now that you might think is a little bit weird. However, signature sounds and that, you want to get your own sound in there. A lot of people need to know it's you, but it sounded really, really nice with this film. Just all together sounds great. There's another cool little effect that I want to talk to you about is the DJM filter. Now this is on the master chain. The DJM filter, if I can locate it somewhere, it's on the lead bus knob actually, so we need to find the lead bus, and it is the DJM filter. So this thing is made by Xfer, and it's on a Pioneer. You have the filter, right? Low pass, high pass. It's emulating that specific filter sound, so it sounds like you're doing it in the club. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to do something a little bit fresh there, and it sounds sick. It sounds like a DJ's done it live.